catch myself, help me out. Had my bed, then you let go. I'm fighting with that too. I'm standing alone. Just like that, you left me cold. I guess at the end of the day, it's just me and my phone.
Welcome back to Queen's Mindset. If this is your first time joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are super excited to have you here with us tonight. I can't wait to share with you who our guest is tonight because guess what? It's going to be good because it keeps getting better each and every time. Listen, we have 12 women, 12 powerful women who are going to share 12 powerful stories, and you don't want to miss this. But before we go ahead and introduce our guest for tonight, if you have not done it already, I want you to go right ahead and just hit that subscribe button just down below and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you can be kept abreast of all our videos when they come out. Listen, if you have not done it as yet either, I want you to go ahead, share this video with a friend, share this link now with a friend, get them on the line because we want them to be able to hear this powerful story. We don't want them to hear it secondhand. We want them to hear it firsthand. So go ahead, share this link, let them in so that they can hear. So let's head right into it. Let's introduce you tonight to my powerful guest who's going to share her story with us. Welcome, Pastor Kimberly. How are you?
I am fine much for having me. Good night to you and all
Yeah.
of the Queen's Mindset posse.
Yes, it's such a pleasure to have you. So, Pastor Kimberly, before we get started, I want to ask you before we dive into your story because I know all the queens are listening and they're thinking to themselves, what is her story? But before we tell them about your story, I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Praise God. So my name is Kimberly Waithe. I am married and I have been together with my spouse for the past 19 years. A mother of four amazing children. I am the senior of the Mount Calvary Greater Life Ministries. I was also appointed overseer of the Barbados district of the Mount Calvary Holy Churches of America. I am the CEO of Waste Trading. This includes our a few retail businesses, and I am also currently a University of the West Indies student. I am fearlessly in pursuit of a law degree. So currently, that's who I am at the moment.
Wow, you do quite a lot. And I have to ask, just like I asked all the other ladies, where do you find the time to do
I
everything?
know, right? I know. It's a matter of me being passionate, living my best life. I think that's the best way to put it. I am passionate about who you are and who you want to be. When you're passionate about being great, sometimes the challenges, they are just minor. They're just minor in everything else that is rewarding. So I make time. I make the time. Make the time.
That's it. We make the time. It's all about balance. Yes, it's definitely all about balance. So, Pastor Kimberly, you have a powerful story. And like I said, I know the queens are listening right now and they're ready to hear your story. But I want us to let us to start your story from the beginning. Let's begin to peel the layers back as we begin to tell them, how it all started for you.
Okay, make sure you're asking. You say start from the beginning. Say that's a long journey. If we can handle all of that all at once, but I'll try. Um, First of all, I want to say, in order for me to be where I am today, I've had to fight to overcome many obstacles. Um, I want to zero in a specific time in my life, fight to overcome rejection, um, deal with the trauma that comes with being rejected your parent by my father, so to speak. It was my father who, and so I remember growing up as a child. I am the first, I'm the eldest of three daughter. My mom was a single mother. She raised three young women, to which I am one of them. But it was not easy. My mom, being a single mother, had endured so much domestic abuse. Did not, I was not given the opportunity to attend school. A lack of job opportunities was challenges that she faced, and therefore I saw my mom always up to the next, trying to make do, trying to raise her. And so poverty was what I knew. I grew up in abject poverty. There was never enough thing. There was never enough of anything for myself and my siblings as a child. Always going to hand me downs, the usual. But what for me was the longing and the desire that I had to have a father. Always longing to have trying to foster a relationship with him was hard. In fact, I was only given the opportunity to meet my father when I was around 10 years old. But I've always heard great things about him. As much as he rejected me and was not a part of my life, my father by himself, person, he was an engineer, and he worked with some of those really great organizations in the mining town of Guyana. He was educated man, and I heard good things about him in accomplishments. And I think what that did was made me to be a part of his life even more. And so when I became, when I was about the age of 16, I completed my CXC. I had done really well. As much as we were, mom did her best with what she had at the time. And the girl, I must say, played an even greater role in me being through my entire high school life. And I was able to attend school. My mom tried everything not to, have school. So there were days when I would be in school, I would be hungry because for some days were just money to get me to school there, or money for transportation. Sometimes that was all. Whether I was hungry or not, I would be at school, and that basically throughout my secondary school life. There were instances when money for bus fare, and I attended school about 6 to 7 miles from where in there were times, as you get into your fourth form years, fifth form, that time is because you're getting ready for your CXCs and you want to make sure attendance. And so when there were days when there was no money, I would walk to school. and then some evenings I would have to walk. Um, and that, that was challenging in itself because was it was far one, but you're growing age, and so you're becoming aware of your position, and you can your situation is quite different from that of other students, and begins to kick in where you're beginning to think, why me position you are embarrassed because your friends, when they're getting into their transportation, you are there hanging around because you don't want anyone to see you having to walk home. You know that this is something that has to be done because you want to ensure that you come to school. So when I finally got uh, got to write my CXC, and I was successful at my extremely well, and I graduated at the age of 16. Excited. Yes, the journey was difficult, it was hard, but ecstatic. I was just so happy to know that, in spite of all my challenges, I was able to, I have a certificate. I'm out of secondary school, but I did successfully. I was excited. I wanted to share the news with my father. Why? All those years, I just still long for him, and so I felt as though he was so academically inclined. He was academically accomplished. Maybe once I'm graduated, I have this accomplishment to show, then maybe my father will be a part of my life. He at that time,
Wow.
he had no family. They were doing well, so I thought maybe having my at that point, thinking like a teenager, just maybe want me more or want to be a part of my life. And so I made an effort. I made an effort to reach out to him. In fact, I traveled miles. Anyone is aware of the geography makeup of Guyana, you will know the Guyana. And so at that time, I was living in Region 4, where my father was the mining town of Guyana, which is in Region 10. So it's pretty much the opposite side of the country. It's nearing the borders of the, and I made that journey at 16 years old by myself. My mom warned me like not to do it. Like I don't. She was not sure, but this is what I wanted, and being the good mom that she was, she said mission to go, in spite of knowing that it may. I took a leap of faith. I took a leap of faith, and I pursued him. I pursued to Region 10 to meet him, and when I got there, long story, he did not want to see me. Out of out of his colleagues and the others saying, well, it's your daughter, you should come. He did come, and when he finally came to speak to me, instructed me to do was to never turn up at his workplace. He, after chastising me and asking me why did I come here, why would I turn up at it, he made mention of the fact that I embarrassed him. I think him saying that, this is embarrassing. You embarrassed me by coming here. And he said, never, never again let it happen. Don't you ever come here again.
Wow. And you were like only 15, sorry, 16 years old when he did that. Like, I mean, I can only imagine how you must have felt. Like, I can only imagine, having to travel that far because you said that, I mean, the distance was a very far distance for you that you would have had to travel. So to have to travel that far and then to hear him say those words, like, tell us what was really going through your mind, when he said that.
At 16 years old, that was, it's inexplainable. I I'm an adult now, but I remember feeling so hurt. Tears flood my face in that instant. I can feel, the heat in my body, the temperature in my body just rising and feeling broken. And mostly I remember feeling broken. I remember crying. And to add insult to the injuries already, while I was crying, I remember him saying to me, "Stop that. Stop that. Stop that crying. Wipe your eyes. Wipe your face. This is not that kind of world. This world is not a world of for weak people." And to hear your father saying to you, this is not a world for weak people, it was as if he was saying to me that you're weak. You're weak. That's why I'm embarrassed by you being here, because you're weak. But I'm only 16 years old. And maybe I was, in fact, weak in that moment because I was weak to the need of father. I needed a father. I longed for a father. But I remember him, getting really angry, even more angry, as he said to me, "Wipe your tears. Don't be crying all that crocodile tears here. Like, wipe your tears. This is not that kind of world. You're gonna have to grow up if you wanna speak to me. If you wanna be my daughter, you're gonna have to grow up. This world is not a place for weak people." Um, and I was just so broken. I was just so broken. But in that brokenness, there was a brief moment where I kind of like gathered myself in that moment, and I thought to myself, this is not the way a father should treat his daughter. And I made a decision. I made a decision. I don't know where that came from, but I made a courageous decision in that moment that regardless of the rejection that I'm experiencing now, I was going to be the best me that I can be. I made a decision that if no one else is there for me, I will be there for myself. I realized in that moment that the change that I am seeking will not come from anyone else but me. I realized that if daddy was not going to save this little girl, then this little girl was indeed, would indeed have to grow up and be determined and pursue the kind of life that she wanted, that she needed. I, I thought of the situation that my mom was experiencing. The fact that she had no one else to help us, the fact that there were many days and nights that she went to bed hungry so that we can eat. I thought about all of those things. I thought about the fact that this cannot be me moving forward anymore. I have to do better. I have to be better. And that's when I said, okay, this CXC certificate was not enough. It was not enough for my father to want to have a relationship with me, and it certainly would not be enough for me to, to be who I want to be. I need to continue whatever my journey is. I need to continue on it. I need to continue to pursue my education, and I need to move forward regardless of the rejection.
Wow. Let's just pause here for a second because that's a lot. That's a lot. I hope you guys are listen. I hope you guys are listening really closely. And if you have not done it already, let's go ahead, share this link with a friend and get them here. Make sure you're commenting because we want to hear your thoughts on what is being shared. So, I mean, after going through, that level of rejection, how were you able to, get that healing and to be able to overcome? What were your next steps? Because I know you said just now you had to you decided that, I need to do much more than just CSCs. I need to be better. And you wanted to be better. Do you think the need or the want to be better was that because you wanted to prove to him that you can make it without him, or was it that you just wanted to prove to yourself that you're definitely carrying greatness on the inside?
I think it was a bit of both. I think it was a bit of both. When you have someone say to your face that you're weak, you know, amidst knowing, you know that there is potential. You've just graduated, you've crossed an obstacle. And, I did not mention this earlier, but at that point, I was the only one in my family, man or woman, because I my mother's family, because that was the family that I knew at that point. My father had no relationship with me, so I didn't know much of his family. However, I he was intelligent. I heard he came from a good family. They were intelligent, but my mother's family, who I was acquainted with, who I grew up with among, there was no one in this family at that point who had completed the secondary school level of education. Could you imagine? When I found out that I would be the first person to graduate from the secondary school, that in itself motivated me, because I realized that I'm about to break a glass ceiling that held my mother's family captive. So that was one of my motivations as well while I was at school. Even though I was made to endure all of those hardships, it kept me grounded, knowing that I'm about to break a generational cycle. So, in that moment, being the first to graduate from secondary school, it helped me to understand that it didn't matter what my father said to me or how he felt about me. I was definitely on a path to greatness. I had already accomplished something immensely significant, being the first to graduate out of secondary school. All the women I'd grown up seeing, they had all experienced teenage pregnancy. Uh, there was divorce, domestic violence. There was all these negative nuances affecting my family that I had experienced by seeing and being a part of it in terms of the environment, all of those negative things. So in that moment, I knew that I was on a path for greatness. And I felt as though, I cannot let my father's words or my father's actions and attitude affect this path that I'm on. So it was indeed a bit of both. I felt as though I'm going to prove to you, Daddy, that I'm worthy. I'm going to prove to you that I am more than what you think I am. And I also felt, well, it's your loss. It's your loss. I'm a beautiful black girl. I'm intelligent. I have a great future ahead. It is your loss. And then I also felt as well that I need to keep doing this for my mom. I need to keep doing this for my mom's family, for all the women in my mom's family who, were immensely disadvantaged due to the family that they grew up in, the lack of resources, lack of opportunities, and all the other challenges that they encountered. I felt as though I needed to do it for them. So after secondary school, I went to college. I decided I was going to go to college. In fact, before I got into college, I became a school teacher. I mean, I was a young school teacher at 16 years old. That was amazing for me. I had the qualifications in spite of my age. I know that um, the persons in authority, they kind of like wonder, should we employ her? She's young, whatever. But I remember having a discussion at that time was the secretary of the Teaching Service Commission. And I remember him saying, you know what, I'm going to give you the opportunity. The opportunity is all I needed. That's all I needed. And, becoming a school teacher at such a young age, that too inspired me and motivated me even more to want more for myself. Because then I am thrust into a secondary school with a lot of less fortunate black and brown children. And I'm seeing my life in them. I'm seeing my challenges. I'm seeing my hardship, my situation. I'm seeing it in them. And I'm thinking, like, this cannot be it. It has to be more. There must be more. Mind you, I didn't have the money. I didn't have the resources. There was a lack of structure in my life. My mom is there. She's raised me. She's beginning to feel like, wow, this is it. There's nothing else I can do for Kim. She had not the academic capacity. She had not the finances. You know, there's nothing else. She didn't feel like she can do anything else for me. I was pretty much left on my own from there onwards. And having to deal with trauma and rejection, and then that sense of aloneness, it's it's a lot. It's a crazy
So
combination.
I can listen, I can only imagine. So tell us how you were able to get full healing from that, because the thing about those types of things is that it can follow you throughout your adulthood, and then you find that any sight or any knowledge or feeling rejection, there's a immediate reaction to it, because you are, the trauma is coming back to you, what you would have witnessed, and what you not only witnessed but what you also experienced at first hand. So how were you able then to get that complete healing, that you can move past, where you were?
It took a while. Complete healing is one thing, but healing is a process. But for me, I church was my place of centering. I became involved in church at a young age. I attended a church, and my pastor and his wife, my then pastor and his wife, they played a significant role in helping me emotionally, helping me mentally. There were times when I suffered immense depression and anxiety, and so they were that positive force in my life, um, not only praying with me or praying for me, not just the spiritual aspect, but they took on the role of father and mother pretty much for a number of years. My pastor was known to be my father. He stepped in that position and he played the part, helping me make certain decisions regarding my academics, help me making certain decisions regarding how I'm going to the standards I'm setting for myself as a young woman. My pastor, he had grown up in a family that was stable, a stable family. He had his mom and his dad, but it was a big family. So he was given the opportunity to navigate the various family dynamics. And so with his personal experience within his family, and of course his godly beliefs, he was then able to give me guidance, constantly counseling me, um, reassuring me, encouraging me. He was one of the first people that really made me believe that I can be anything I wanted to be. He would say this to me constantly, both him and his wife. His wife, she would tell me how beautiful I was. She would say to me, there is nothing that you cannot do. She would instill these critical values. The way I carry myself, what kind of friends and company I should keep. She was very, very instrumental in giving me those necessary guidance, and encouragement. And so as much as I knew I had greatness, I didn't quite have a plan. I was young. I was like any other young person. You want, the world, but didn't quite know how to get there, how to navigate the journey of getting there. And so, what my pastor did was laid out a plan for me. He would give me possibilities, in strategic possibilities. Sometimes he would write it down, he would lay it out, he would say, well, at this age and that age you can go do this or you can do that. And he would always instruct me. One of the things I remember so vividly him saying to me is that, I never want to hear you come to me and say that, you know, uh, you have a child's father, a baby's daddy. He's like, that is not your standard. Those are things that you must never, he says, you must never contribute to the status quo. And he would say to me, make sure that you avoid certain pitfalls. Those it helped me. It helped to heal me in ways of not feeling so alone. It helped me to believe in myself. It helped me to gain confidence in who I was and what I can do, what I can become. um, it helped me to uh, not be angry at life. One of the things that I am so grateful for is that from early on, I realized that sometimes people don't hurt you because they want to. Sometimes they just cannot do better. They don't have the capacity to love you the way you needed to be loved. And so I was not angry at my father. I learned early to let go of the anger. Even though I felt hurt about everything he did to me. He did the way he treated me. I felt hurt about him not wanting to be a part of my life. I just took on the sense of, well, he just cannot love me the way I want to be loved. It is not. It's not my fault. I didn't blame myself. So, and when it comes to healing, a person must always understand that you need not to blame yourself for nothing. It was not my fault that we were having that kind of estranged relationship. It was not my fault. I stopped blaming myself. I stopped blaming my situation. I was not in control of my poverty. I was not in control of what my mom, be not having the capacity. I was not in control of none of those things. So I stopped blaming myself. And that in itself helped me to heal. And believing in myself was another very important factor. Learning to believe in myself. It was, it helped. It helped in the healing process.
And that's really important. I love what you said there, believing in yourself, because most times we are not capable of believing in ourselves because we are spending a lot of time where we're believing in the things that people are saying to us. And that's why we can't believe in ourselves, because what they're saying, we have gravitated towards that. We believe it. We think that's the case. And then that's where you have that. There's a thing called the self-fulfilling prophecy, because
Oh,
someone keeps saying this thing over and over and over, and then you start to believe it, you buy into it, and then you start to do the same thing that they've been saying. So for example, you will have people saying, and this is a major saying, you will never amount to anything, and then you hear that so often in your ears, and you start to believe it, because you know what, the enemy starts to then show you, well, your mom never did it, your dad never did it, this person never did it, so what makes you think that you can do it? And then you start to buy into it. So I love what you said in terms of being able to believe in yourself, and that's what gives you the strength to come out. And I want to encourage those women who are watching here tonight, and you might be in that similar situation. Maybe you are dealing with rejection right now, or you have dealt with it before, or you know someone who is dealing with it. And I want to remind you that it's important that you start to believe in yourself and believe that you don't have to stay there. You can definitely come out. So I have to ask, as you were going through that process of rejection, and you started to work through your healing with your pastor, and I really want to commend him for that, because that's a really, really great man. It speaks to his character, to step in the gap and fill the role of a father, because he didn't have to. His role was just pastor, but he saw a need and he was able to come in and assist. So I really want to commend him for that. But I want to ask, as you were going through that, at any point did you feel like giving up?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Um, you know, even as I'm speaking to you, um, sometimes as much as we want to illustrate the extent of our situation, sometimes we cannot put it all in words. And sometimes going through a situation, having an experience is sometimes it is just greater than us putting it into words, us saying, well, this is what I experienced. But when you are going through a situation, especially one like mine, because there's so many other little things that comes up. It is not just the rejection, but when you are rejected and you begin to develop the sense of low self-esteem, and you begin to feel unwanted, and you begin to feel like this might be my fault, maybe I am not good enough, um, and then you're living in poverty, so your situation begins to speak to you. You lack this, you lack that. And when others can acquire opportunities due to their resources, you can't go to this, you can't go to that, you can experience this or that. All of that tends to weigh you down. And there were moments when I honestly just wish that it would just all go away. And when it didn't go away, I felt like giving up. Like there were moments when I would say to myself, well, I can't do this no more. And I had those moments. For example, when I went to college, after I finished college, I applied to the University of Guyana to my first attempt to university. Um, I dropped out. That was me giving up. That was me giving up. I started, and then I thought to myself, well, you know what? This is not working out. This is not working out. It's just too much pressure. I'm working a full time job. I'm working. I am then supporting my two siblings because, like I said, my situation was, you know, it was abject poverty. My mom needed help. Um, I feel as though I needed to be there for my sisters. And so I am playing this role. And then I still have to go to school, and I'm still battling all of these internal struggles, the trauma, of navigating it all. The pressure of navigating it all became taxing, mentally draining, because one of the things about poverty that you have to understand is that when you are experiencing that lack, there are others on the outside who are judging you, based on a situation that you may not necessarily be able to control in any way. So I'm living in this old rackety house, being a school teacher. I'm working with colleagues who are better off than I am. And so they are aware of my situation, and instead of empathizing, there is the judgment, there is the condescending remarks and statements, and so you're dealing with all of that. You're dealing with all of those other little challenges, little issues that will pop up from time to time. Listen, it even got so bad that there were persons in my church who wouldn't want to be associated with me would separate themselves, because obviously, you're the poor girl, you're not looking right, you're not speaking right, you're not smelling right, because you don't have what it takes. You're walking, when persons are getting into their cars to go to church, you are walking miles and miles to go to church because you can't afford it. Whatever you're working for, you're trying to save it because you have to split it between your school expenses and helping out in the home, because this is your situation. And so I I felt as though I gave up at one point. To an extent, I just didn't continue pursuing my education at that stage. So giving up, or feeling like you want to give up, I feel as though that is a natural part of anyone's journey. Anyone who is who is challenged with a particular situation, whatever that situation may be, feeling like you want to give up is a natural part of it. However, in spite of me feeling like I want to give up to that place where I don't want to try anymore, um, as much as I felt it, um, I held on. I searched for other avenues to keep myself together. Yes, I dropped out of university, but I knew that I didn't entirely give up. I didn't entirely give up, because in those moments, I was looking for an alternative. I couldn't afford school. It was hard to afford school and deal with helping out my sisters at the same time. So I felt like, okay, let me help here, but let me look for an alternative. And I began saving towards that. I said, okay, I'm going to leave school out for now, but I still had the will to survive. I was determined to be my best self, to be the greatest me I can be. I was determined to still make it out
Wow.
of what I was in.
Wow. So in that process, who was your support? Who did you have to lean on? Because I mean, you said that you were helping out because you understood your situation and you wanted to help assist your mom. Who did you have outside of having your pastor to give you guidance and so on, and God, of course? Who else was your support system?
The truth is, in those days, no one really. My pastor, like I said, they're him and his wife, they've always been there for me. Even when I made a decision to migrate to Barbados, I remember having this sit down with them in their living room, and I'm telling them, well, this is my plan. I know I said I'd go to school and whatever, whatever, but I want to go to Barbados. At that time, my mom had already migrated, and I remember her convincing me not to come. She's trying to convince me, like, don't come. This is not for you. Stay and go to school and da da da. The usual. And I remember having this conversation with my pastor and my pastor's wife, um, and I said, "This is what I want to do." And I remember, they too were saying to me, "Are you sure?" Was I sure? No, I wasn't sure. But again, I've always been that girl to take the leap of faith. Um, I knew that it was a risk. Life was a risk, and I had to be willing and bold and brave to make a move, to take that chance. Um, Again, Kimisha, it's funny because many times when you are in your darkest moments, there is not much who are going to stand by you to support you. It's sad, but it's true. It is sad, but it's true. Many times, I think that's what really makes the reward or the blessing when you come through. That's what makes it even more beautiful, because you realize that, hey, I needed someone, and there was no one to really support me. There was no one financially supporting me. There was no one, embracing this crazy step that I was about to take. everyone was just saying, well, we wish you well. We just hope it worked out. It was up to you to believe that, I'm going to do this. I have to do this. So as much as my pastor, at that time I referred to him as my father, and his wife, as much as they, Mommy Grace, as much as they were there for me, in supporting the idea that I had. They were not fully supporting, the fact about this gonna work out. They were not sure, but they was like, we're giving you our blessings because this is something you want to do, and yeah, but that's it. But if it doesn't work out, remember, we warn you. It's all on you. So it was a lonely walk. There was not much support. I remember having this one school friend, who we were going to school together, and we even became school teachers together and so on. And funny, as I began to make certain changes in my life, certain adjustments, there was this jealousy, and that just broke away. And so as I search my mind even right now to think of, like, what was the support I was really getting in that moment? There was none really. When I got to Barbados, my mom was here for me, and she's always been here for me, in that sense. But the kind of support that you are looking for when you are transitioning, when you are taking a big chance in life, to say I had that in that moment, I didn't really have that. I had to trust God and trust myself. The trust that what decision I was making, it was good for me. And I was willing to follow through regardless of the challenges.
So looking back now on everything, is there anything that you would have done differently? Having told your story of everything you would have gone through, is there anything that you would have changed if you had that opportunity?
Listen, listen. I think everybody always have one or two things that they would do differently. Um, it has been one big journey, and I think it has all worked out, as the word of God says, for my good. Um, there there a few things that I would, may if I get a chance to do a little different, that I would maybe do a little different, maybe. But do I have regrets? No. I just believe that everything I've gone through, all the lessons learned, including the wins and the failures, they have all, they all make me who I am today. And today I am even more resilient. Today I am focused. I know who I am. I have a greater faith in my journey because I have leaped over some walls. I've crossed some mountains. I've been in some valleys. And looking back now, I see what my faith and my determination and believing in myself can do. I have learned so much. I've learned so much over those years. So, would I change it all? No, I most definitely would not change it all. Um, Today, my dad is not alive. He died. And so I think maybe if I had the opportunity now to probably have one more conversation with him in regards to how I felt, about how I was treated, and maybe just let him know that all those years I had loved him and I'd longed for a relationship regardless of everything. Maybe yes, that I would do, but to change it all, I most certainly would not. Like I said, it all made me who I am today. I am very proud of the woman I am today. I am, I am grounded in who I am. I have a strong sense of belief in myself. I understand that life is not easy, but I also come to learn that if you have determination and you have the Spirit of God on you, if you believe in who you are, um, that you can overcome anything. Being resilient is absolutely important, in spite of. So
Yeah.
I am pleased. I am pleased with the journey that God brought me on.
Well said. Well said. The only thing I would answer, because I know we're getting close to the end, and I have just about two more questions to answer. And you mentioned just now that your dad passed away. Did you ever get the opportunity to, to have that chat with him before he was passed on?
Unfortunately, no. I
Wow.
think that's maybe one of the things that I wished I wish had gone differently.
Mm-hmm.
I never got the opportunity to have this discussion with him, and I don't think he even knew any of the things I'd accomplished. Um, I remember, yeah, he passed just right around the time I got married, or just before I had gotten married. But I know that he never got the chance. When he died, I had just given birth to my first child. And I remembered while I was pregnant, I remember thinking of him and thinking like, I want to tell him I'm pregnant. I want to tell him that he's going to have a granddaughter. Um, I felt the need, like I said, I don't know. I felt the need, but we never got around to it. And then when he died, that was it. That was it. Never got a chance. But I guess that's one of the things that I would have wished to do differently. I would have loved to just have a talk with him, let him know that I love him regardless of
Yeah.
everything. I still love him.
Wow. Wow. So, ladies, I hope you have been watching because we're coming really, really close to the end. And this is a powerful story to share, a story of rejection, because I'm sure we can all testify to this, that at some point in our lives that we have had an experience with rejection. We have all experienced it in different ways, and we can definitely identify with Pastor Kim's story today. But I want you to share before we wrap up here. I want you to talk to that lady who is watching us right now, and she is in that space of rejection. It may be that she's feeling that rejection from her father, just like you did, or it could be from a family friend, even from mom. It could be happening somewhere in her life. I want you to speak to her and give her words of encouragement. What would you tell that person who is, battling with rejection right now?
So one of the first things that I want people to know, people who suffered rejection, who are dealing with the trauma of rejection. I want you to know first and foremost that you are loved. I want you to know you're loved. You may not feel love from the person that rejected you, or you may not feel love from the people you want to feel love from, but you are loved. You are loved. There are people who uh, love you, who, when they get to know you and they know, how much of a good person you are, they love you and they would receive your love and they would give you love. But also, I want you to know that you're worthy. One of the things that rejection has the tendency to do is to make you feel unworthy, make you feel undeserving. But I want you to know it does not matter. It do not matter how one or two or three or four or many persons treat you. Um, you are worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of a good life. You are worthy of having a great family or a great future. Whatever it is that you are endeavoring, you are worthy of it all, and you must not be afraid to be who you are. You know who you are, you know who God has called you to be. Don't be afraid to be that person, but most importantly, be willing to work on yourself. Be willing to work on yourself, um, in the sense of fortifying yourself mentally, strengthening your will to persevere, to be determined. Work on you. If it is that um, your rejection has caused you to feel a sense of low self esteem, work on those things that will help you to feel empowered. If it means that you need a better job, whatever it will take to get you a better job, you work in it. If you want, if you desire to have certain things in life, you desire to accomplish, certain goals, be willing to put in the work. Be willing to work on yourself, regardless of your challenges, regardless of, your issues. Just be willing to work on yourself and be brave. Be brave about it. Be brave. There are people who will challenge you to that place where they will make you feel like what you're doing don't make sense, or who you are trying to be. In my situation, I had no father and I was poor and black. And so there were persons who said to me that, I shouldn't even think of becoming a lawyer, or I shouldn't think of studying business. I had one school teacher who told me that, don't go into the business field. It doesn't make no sense. You're black, it's not going to work for you. You're poor, where would you get the investments from? All of these different things. There are people who are going to try to deter you from, your path, the goals you set for yourself. But you must always know that you're worthy of whatever goals you set for yourself, and you be willing to work on you. Be willing to work on yourself to get to where you want to go. Be brave about it. Be brave and be bold about it. You have to be brave. My father was right about that one thing. He said to me that the world does not have place for weak people. In the sense that, he was telling me that, you have to toughen up. And sometimes, as women, we are feminine by nature, but we can still be tough and rigid in our personalities, in our emotions, in our thinking. Be tough, be resilient, be brave, and most importantly, be determined. That's a question that someone asked me while I was a child. And the question was, what keeps me going? And throughout the years, I have always known it to be my sense of determination. What is that determination? It is that thing that steps in when you lose faith. Because as a woman of God, as a pastor, I'm telling you, there are times like Peter, our faith, we lose his faith. But guess what? Even when I don't believe, Lord, I'm still going to try, because I'm determined. I'm determined to follow through with whatever goal I set for myself. I'm determined to follow through with whatever, business plan or whatever I started. I'm willing to just complete it. So be determined. It's in spite of your challenges, in spite of how you feel. You might be hurting, but be determined to be healed. Be determined to be empowered. Be determined to be better. That is the final advice I can give to you. Be willing to work on you, be brave about it, and be determined.
Well said, ladies. I told you that you were in for a powerful, yet again, another powerful night. I hope you took some notes, and I hope that you guys were able to connect with our story. And if you had not had the opportunity to do it, I want you to do it right now. Share this video with a friend, leave us some comments below, because we want to hear from you. So, Pastor Kim, we're heading out now, but I want you to tell us where we can find you, for that woman who have just connected with you and she wants to learn more about what you do. Tell us where we can find you, your social media platforms and so on. Tell us where we can find you.
Okay, so now I don't want you guys to act funny, because I'm very lazy when it comes to social media. I don't do a lot of, interesting posts. I know. maybe I will start soon. However, I do have a Instagram. I do have an Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Kimberly Waithe. That is my handle name, Kimberly Waithe. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, Kimberly Waithe again. Um, but like I said, I am the pastor of the Mount Calvary Greater Life Ministries, and we are located in the Fort Gap, Green Hill, St. Michael area. And on my Instagram and my Facebook, I have a number. So if anyone would like to get in touch with me directly, there is a number there that you can personally connect with me on, or you can feel free to inbox me at any time. I also am the founder of a women's ministry because I have a passion for women who go through hard situations, who needs sisterly support, or who just need any kind of support to move forward. I have a women's ministry. It is called the God's Glamorous Woman. And so um, I do that also once every month. We have a meeting. Like I said, feel free to inbox me, feel free to email me. My email address is Kimberly, Kimberly underscore 269 at hotmail.com. Yes, I still use Hotmail. So you can get me there on my Hotmail account. Amen. Or feel free to inbox me in any one of my social media platform. I am very open and always willing to support us girls. So please feel free. Also, I one of my favorite stores I'm usually at. I have a few stores in Bridgetown, but I'm usually at the Glamour Girl Bags. There is a bag store on James Street, and that is one of the most fabulous backstory, the best in Bridgetown. So I am usually there, ladies. If you want to pop in, ask for me, leave a message if I'm not there. But yes, I'm easy to find. I'm easy to find and very much willing to assist and work and support any one of my sisters, any one of you amazing women who may be experiencing, any kind of challenge in moving forward, because we're all about the moving forward. Queen's mindset is all about resilience and progress and self-development, and I'm all for that. So feel free to reach out if you have need to. And again, Kamisha, thank you so much. Thank
You
you
are
so
most
much
welcome.
for having me on here
You are
tonight.
most welcome. Thank you so much for sharing tonight with our queens. I know they enjoyed it. I can see that they're already dropping their comments below. So I'm very grateful to have you here. Ladies, if you have not done it already, I'm going to tell you this again, share this link with a friend and make sure that you invite them to come and be here so that they can watch. Don't worry if you got on late and you didn't get to watch all of it, that's fine. The video will be still here. You can come back, you can rewatch it, you can watch it as many times as you want to, but make sure that you share this video with a friend because you don't know who is going through something. Because they never said anything does not mean that they're not experiencing it. So share it with them, let them come, let them see, and let them leave their comments to us as well. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been a pleasure sharing with you here tonight, and I can't wait to have you back on our next episode as we continue the series of Battered Bruised Not Broken. See you soon. Goodbye.